Good afternoon. I'm on Union Flat Creek, just out for a little drive, headed towards Pullman from a place called Union Center. It's one of the elevators we haul our barley to that doesn't make the cut for Joseph's Grainery, Baroness Barley. Anyway, I thought it would behoove me to spend a little time and give you some history on our family and Baroness Barley. The reason I'm even doing this today was I was watching YouTube, and some bright young man came on and said that YouTube is going to be the coming thing and AI is going to drive it. And I thought, rather than let AI drive me, I would see if I couldn't crack the algorithm by providing something a little more genuine than that. And what is more genuine than one's own story? So rather than to continue to bore you with explanations, I'll get into it. We were sired by a Hessian mercenary that decided not to go back to Germany after the revolution. Now, I applaud the man's decision. The reason I know that is my Uncle Roy and his son Greg did a semi-exhaustive search on our family background and traced our lineage all the way back to a George Myers. But they couldn't go any further than that, because George, being the second generation in the land of E Pluribus Unum, was one of many in Pennsylvania named George Myers, because everybody wanted to name their kids George after the Revolution. So all we know about him is he was a Hessian mercenary. Now that a lot of people, when they hear the name mercenary, think in the traditional sense that soldier of fortune. These boys were not soldiers of fortune. They were very roughly conscripted when King George decided that he wanted to bolster his army. He contacted the German nobles, and there was and Germany did quite a bit of they'd farm their armies out to just about anybody that needed one. What made that work is they would go out in the hinterlands, in this case Hesse-Cassel, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and they just basically say, I'm sure there was some way to mechanism for recruitment, but most of it was conscription, is my understanding, and they'd go out and say, you, and you, in the wagon, and then they'd sort the details out later. And then when they got to the port, it was you in the boat, and then off to America we went. So anyway, revolution, a lot of these guys probably really didn't even want to be there. Their families were getting paid. They did pay the families, and they did pay the men, I assume. You probably made those arrangements on the way over. Who knows? Should do a little more digging in that. So after the revolution, now there were several ways that these dice didn't go home. One was just I don't want to do this anymore, desert, hide out in the woods. Most of them were capable enough to do that because they were farm boys and hunters, and very well hide out and maybe even make friends with the locals, maybe do some work. The second way was, hey, I'm just not getting on the boat, and make your way in the world and just see what the new land had to provide. The third way, and this is where I hope my relatives fit in, because I like the story better. We can't prove any of this, but General George Washington, being a quick study, among other things, figured out who these guys were. And yeah, farmers, hunters, which made them good soldiers. They were capable, they knew how to do stuff. And he got to thinking that, hey, well, if I offer these guys some land in Pennsylvania that I don't own anyway, I can pick up some good hands, and they'll be fighting for us and not them, and welcome aboard. So he put out leaflets and got the rumor around that, hey, yeah, if you turn to the revolution, we'll give you 40 acres or whatever in Pennsylvania. And I'm sure that when they went to get their land, they probably had to sort it out with the locals. I don't know what that'd be an interesting study to just see how that worked out, because some of the locals had been here for generations and generations and generations, and probably didn't take too kindly to. And then there was a whole other thing about being German at that time probably wasn't one of the friendliest positions to be in, because this is after the revolution and they were fighting Germans. I think a lot of them became Pennsylvania Deutsch, if you get my drift. Be easily absorbed into that community if they were so disposed. I've got a lot more to learn, but this is what I think I know. So anyway, the Hessian has a son, and I'm sure more than just a son, but the one we know about is George. George was a capable guy. He was a blacksmith by trade, and George, and probably a farmer. Far back as we go, everyone else was a farmer. I'm a farmer, and it's just something that that you're called into, that you can't deny it. There's no way to escape it. It's I think it's a DNA thing. Very few people go into this with, yeah, I'm going to be a farmer and I'm going to get rich. Well, some of them do. Some of them don't. Anyway, back to George. He was a blacksmith. Just imagine a blacksmith, back, you call him, a welder fabricator now. Capable guys. But a blacksmith, his business is to beat iron into submission. They're imagine working over a hot stove all day long, heating things up and welding them together with a hammer. It sounds a little bit like being in a kitchen, producing things that people need and want. So I thought that interesting, at least in my own head. Blacksmith, pretty tough. Got to be, there again, swinging hammers and got to be tough on your body after a while. And so later in life, he became a ferryman, which was not an uncommon job for older men to have, because you just, whether you worked for somebody that had a ferry or you built one, and but hauling people and goods back and forth across some river, because there wasn't a lot of the wonderful infrastructure we have, bridges and the sort. A lot of the time the road just terminated at a riverbank, and you had to get across the other side one way or the other. I don't know how good a ferryman George actually was, because his cause of death is listed as drowning, and I think it was in the Missouri River. I'm going to have to go back and check that out. Please don't chisel this in stone, family members. It just seemed to me, I read it on some internet account. Anyway, heck of a way to go for someone who applies his living on the water. Drowning is kind of a dumb way to go. I guess you had to be there. You know, there might have been a legitimate reason for George to drown. And then he had a list. There were records of his kids. I don't have that stuff in front of me right now, but my direct ancestor, my great grandfather, Daniel Myers, he wound up in Kansas. Then he went to Nebraska, and then he got a few bucks together and decided he's going to take his family to the Willamette Valley, and where they will prosper. And so they struck out with his son Nathaniel and his new wife. Anyway, before, I'm not making a long story short, I'm just dealing with this presentation. We eventually wound up on the Snake River just outside of Pullman. Quite frankly, because when they got this far, it was getting late in the year. They were out of money. And they decided they'd camp here. So they homesteaded here, just up the breaks from Wawai, which you'll find on a map. I think it's still there. There's a park there now. And that was our original homestead. Did pretty well there. It's good ground. A lot of interesting stories. You know, we'll in further installments, I'll regale you with those. You know, if you have found it interesting thus far, it's good to know who you are. We have the benefit as children to visit our family cemetery at least once a year. We'd play around the headstones, and no adult was going to correct that behavior as long as we weren't being destructive, because it was a friendly place, and they'd tell us all the stories. And I think a good percentage of them are very much true. There was enough corroborating witnesses between aunts and uncles that told the story the same way, to where there's, out of the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. So, we hold these truths to be evident. That's the beginning of the story here in the Palouse. It took us a while to get here. And the rest of the story is how my family wound up on our home place at Diamond, Washington. So anyway, if you've enjoyed this in any way, shape, or form, then go ahead and share it with somebody. Like us, subscribe. This part of it's sort of new to me, and this is what the YouTube experts tell you to do. And I've suffered much at the hands of experts, but we'll hope to see you in the continuance of this story. And oh, by the way, the reason I'm doing this is I got something to sell, and what we sell is whole grains. We sell it on the internet. I've got a few stores around. We used to have quite a string of grocery stores, but I found that to be marginally profitable. That's a lot of grocery stores are brutal. But the internet's cool, and then you get to deal just directly with people, and you get to talk to them. And we've been raising malt barley. I want to tell you about the malt barley. That's our Baroness. Everybody loves it. There's we've got a lot of other things we sell: pancake mix, a cookie base mix. We got cracked wheat cereal is good. Anyway, whole grains. Know your farmer, and wheat won't make you sick, and that's a whole nother story too. So anyway, talk to you later. I'm at my destination. Thank you for your time.